In this video we're going to have a look at factorising some special cases of quadratics. We're going to need a couple of techniques which are going to help us to factorise these expressions. Once we've got those under our belt, these become relatively easy to solve. Let's have a look at the first example. We have a quadratic expression. We know that. We've got an x squared term. We've also got an x term, but we've got no constant value on the end. That means that I know that this expression is going to factorise into a single rather than a double bracket. So I'm going to work out what divides into both x squared and negative 15x. That's going to be an x. That's going to go in front of my bracket. What do I multiply x by to get x squared? That's going to be x. What do I multiply x by to get negative 15x? That's going to be negative 15. So I've got x into x subtract 15 and factorise the quadratic. Next example, this one's similar. I'm going to, I've still got an x, that's a common factor of both the first and the second term, so that's going to go in front of my brackets. But I've also got a common factor of 5, so 5 divides into both the 5 and the negative 100, so I can also put that outside my brackets. So I've got 5x, what do I multiply that by to get 5x squared? That's going to be another x, 5x times x, or 5x squared. What do I multiply 5x by to get negative 100x? That's going to be negative 20. So 5x into x, take away 20, that's going to give me my expression. The third example is a little bit different. It's still got two terms, it's still got an x squared term, so it's still a quadratic expression, but I've got no x term. I've got a constant term, but no x term. And this special case is known as the difference of two squares. It's called that because I've got two squares, so I've got an x squared, 49, which is the square of 7, and I'm subtracting, so I'm taking the difference between 49, taking that away from x squared to take away 49. And to factorise that, what I'm going to do, I'm going to put it into a double bracket. I'm going to write my double bracket. On the left hand side of each of those brackets, I'm going to write the square root of that first term. So square root of x squared is x. That's going to go on the left hand side of both brackets. The second term, the 49, I'm going to square root that as well. That's going to give me 7, and that's going to go on the right hand side of both brackets. So the number that I'm taking away goes on the right hand side of both of the brackets. I'm then going to put one positive sign and one negative sign in the two brackets. So negative in the first bracket, positive in the second. I tend to put it that way around. It doesn't actually matter. You could put positive and a negative, but I do need one of each. Let's see why that works. So I've got x times x gives me x squared. Negative 7 times plus 7 gives me negative 49. And then I'm going to get two more terms from the expansion of the double brackets. I'm going to get x times 7, 7x, and then I'm going to subtract 7x. So those two terms are going to cancel and just leave me with my two terms that I started with, x squared, take away 49. So I've factorised that quadratic expression. Let's have a look at this example over here. It's similar. It's still the difference of two squares. It's a little bit more difficult to see. 4x squared looks a little bit more tricky than the plain x squared, but let's give it a go. I'm going to start with my double bracket, and I need to take the square root of 4x squared. Well, I know the square root of x squared is x. Let's write that in. Whenever I take the square root of 4x squared, I need to remember to square root not just the x squared, but also the 4. So square root of 4 is 2. So we've got 2x, and that needs to go on the left hand side of both of those brackets. So 2x times 2x gives me my 4x squared. And then need to square root my 100. Well, that's going to be 10. That's going to go on the right hand side of both of the brackets, and I need one negative and one positive, and I've factorised the expression. Let's double check. 2x times 2x is 4x squared. Negative 10 times positive 10 gives me negative 100. I've got 2x times 10, so that's 20x. Then I'm going to take away 10 lots of 2x, take away that 20x to cancel out. So I'm left with 4x squared minus 100. So I've correctly factorised that expression. Next example, This one looks tricky. So again, I've got two terms. I've got no x value in the middle, but I have got this number over here. It looks like it should be the difference of two squares, but it's not. If I square root 3x squared, that's going to be horrible. Same thing, if I square root of 75, it's going to leave me a third. Not going to work very nicely. But what I can do is use a combination of the two techniques we've used so far. So if I look and find a common factor, I've got 3 dividing into both 3x squared and 75. So I can first of all, I can factorise this into a single bracket. Put 3 outside my bracket. 3, what do I multiply by to get 3x squared? X squared. What do I multiply 3 by to get to? Negative 75. Negative 25. So I've factorised it into a single bracket. That's picked me up a method mark already. But I need to go the extra step and factorise this into a double bracket by recognising I've now got the difference of two squares. I've got x squared minus 5 squared. So what's that going to factorise into? So I need to remember to keep my 3, my double bracket, square root of x squared is x, that goes on the left of each of my two brackets, square root of 25 is 5, that goes on the right hand side. I need one negative, one positive, and I've fully factorised the quadratic expression. Okay. One final example. Again, similar to the last one we've done, we need to factorise it into a single bracket first. What divides into both 5 and 80? Well, I know I've got a multiple of 10 in here, so either 10 or 5. 10's not going to work, but 5 will. So let's put that outside my bracket. 5, I need x squared. 5 lots of x squared gives me my x squared term. What do I multiply 5 by to get 80? Oh, that's going to be negative 80. That's going to give me negative 16. So I've now factorised it into a single bracket. I've got a difference of two squares, so I can convert that into a double bracket. My square root of x squared is x, that goes on the left hand side of both my brackets. Square root of 16 is 4, that goes on the right hand side of both brackets. I need one negative, one positive, and I've fully factorised that expression. Job done.